We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3, and these are the top stories making headlines this evening.
We're calling for a special probe to be set up to deal with gun violence. We further call for the SANDF deployment as a force multiplier.
Several people have been shot dead and several others wounded in alleged gang and taxi-related violence across the Cape Flats.
We won't obsess about the matric pass rate and whether we're hitting those notes, because that will already be set from the very foundations of learning.
The Basic Education Department wants to build an education system where all children, regardless of their backgrounds, are able to access quality education.
Well, you are entitled to your opinion, but you're certainly not entitled to your own facts.
Tourism Minister has rejected claims that she's shielding suspended SA Tourism CEO or meddling in the affairs of the SA Tourism Board. It has just gone 8 o'clock. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in. This is Prime News on 3 with myself, Colette Nell. Let's get into it. We begin this bulletin with this tonight. Several people have been shot dead and several others wounded in alleged gang and taxi-related violence across the Cape Flats. 2 people were shot dead in Philippi, while an alleged gang leader was killed in front of the Mitchells Plain Magistrates Court.
Police have launched a manhunt after unknown gunmen shot 2 men at the Mitchells Plain Magistrates Court. The area has been plagued by ongoing gang violence in recent weeks. Police say the deceased was an alleged gang leader in Mitchells Plain. The other man was rushed to the hospital in a critical condition.
We condemned in the strongest terms the violence or the shooting that have taken place early this morning in front of the Mitchells Plain Court. We're calling for a special probe to be set up to deal with gun violence. We further call for the SANDF deployment as a force multiplier.
2 people were also fatally shot at a taxi rank in Philippi East. 1 victim died on the scene and the other in hospital. 4 people, including 3 taxi drivers, were seriously wounded. The incident followed another shooting in Khayelitsha.
Preliminary information suggests that 2 men armed approached the Vuyani taxi rank where they opened fire and killed a taxi driver and wounded 2 others. They were transported to a medical facility for treatment. The motive for these attacks are believed to be taxi conflict related.
A 15-year-old boy was also shot dead in Elsis River. 3 others were wounded. No arrests have yet been made. I'm Andy Lembanjwa, SABC News, Cape Town.
Meanwhile, 5 suspects linked to a string of online robberies have been arrested after a shootout with police in Midrand, Johannesburg. The confrontation occurred as law enforcement officers investigated an armed robbery connected to a fraudulent car sale advertised on Facebook Marketplace.
None of our police officers who were in the vehicle were injured. Police then defended themselves, reacted immediately, tactically so, and the suspect realized here we are in trouble, and they tried to drive away. The police shot at this vehicle, the wheels, it overturned, and the other Polo, which was used by the suspect, they shot at it, it got bullet holes, it's gone, but out of these 5 suspects were arrested. They come from Tembisa and Soweto, and 2 pistols were found in their possession, and the other vehicle with 4 suspects which had also firearms. They managed to escape, but their vehicle and hopefully 1 or 2 of them might be injured. And where they are, the team is busy following up. We expect that we will capture them.
To this now, Basic Education Minister Sifiwe Kwagube has emphasized the importance of getting the foundation phase right in order to achieve optimum results. Kwagube was speaking at the G20 Basic Education National Indaba at the Century City Conference Center in Cape Town.
Stakeholders in basic education, which include education professionals and learners, gathered in Cape Town for a 1-day national indaba on education. The department wants to build an education system where all children, regardless of their background, are able to access quality education.
If we get the foundations of learning right, we won't obsess about whether or not children are taking maths and science when they get to matric. We won't obsess about the matric pass rate and whether we're hitting those notes, because that will already be set from the very foundations of learning.
The emphasis on the foundation phase was also evident from the exhibitors at the indaba.
They decide their rhythm, and then that is what we want to develop to them, the sensory.
Today, our display specifically concentrates on early child development. So we have educational toys. We're also into the coding and robotics.
The department says the purpose of the indaba was to consolidate its actions and intentions, to take forward the G20 priorities beyond 2025 and create a lasting impact and legacy for South Africa's presidency. Lula Mamaita, SABC News, Cape Town.
Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille has rejected claims that she's shielding suspended SA Tourism CEO Nombulelo Guliwe or meddling in the affairs of the SA Tourism Board. De Lille also dismissed accusations that she's a dictator after dissolving the board for allegedly breaching governance regulations, including a Tourism Act and the Public Finance Management Act. She was speaking on the sidelines of a stakeholder meeting on the Tourism Growth Action Plan.
SA Tourism is no stranger to controversy. In 2023, a R1 billion deal with English Premier League club Tottenham Hotspur was scrapped and declared unlawful. More recently, Minister de Lille dissolved the SA Tourism Board, accusing it of convening an illegal meeting where it unlawfully suspended CEO Nombulelo Guliwe. De Lille insists she acted within her powers.
The act is very clear. That is up to the minister to appoint an acting chair, which they should have asked me to do, or appoint a chairperson and a deputy chairperson.
The disbandment grew criticism from the DA and Outer, who accused de Lille of political interference. But the minister denied protecting suspended CEO Nombulelo Guliwe, who the dissolved board had accused of irregularly awarding a R100 million tender to an inexperienced company to host Meetings Africa 2025 and the Africa Travel Indaba 2025.
I've also been accused of political interference in the tourism board and in the affairs of the South African Tourism Board. And I always say to people that, well, you are entitled to your opinion, but you're certainly not entitled to your own facts.
The minister says she welcomes the chance to appear before the Parliament Tourism Committee to set the record straight. Offenses Timo, SABC News, Kempton Park, Johannesburg.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now continue with this. Advocate Zithulele Nxumalo, the lawyer representing accused number 4, Mthokoziseni Mapisa, has told the High Court in Pretoria that there is no evidence linking Mapisa to the killing of soccer star Senzo Meyiwa. Nxumalo was arguing in an application to have the charges against Mapisa dropped. Mapisa and 4 others who have since abandoned a similar bid are currently on trial for the 2016 murder.
In a bid to get his client off the hook, Advocate Zithulele Nxumalo argued that the evidence of the state star witness, Constable Sizwe Zungu, who placed all 5 of the accused in Vosloorus on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, should be approached with caution. Nxumalo says it's riddled with contradictions and no witnesses were called to corroborate Zungu's version.
The bulk of the evidence of Zungu refers to hearsay evidence in the sense that no witnesses were called before this court, despite him referring to those people who were called before this court to corroborate the evidence of Zungu.
And that there is no evidence that Mapisa even received any money from Kelly Khumalo, who the state says was the mastermind.
There is nothing in the bank records, that suggests that accused 4 received any proceeds.
And therefore, Nxumalo says Mapisa should be acquitted.
There is no evidence tendered by the state upon which this honorable court may convict accused number 4.
Crisalda Lewis, SABC News at the High Court in Pretoria.
Still keeping with matters in the courts, the Umzimkhulu Magistrates Court has postponed the bail application of former Umzimkhulu Municipal Manager Solipansi Skosana. 55-year-old Skosana is charged with the murder of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Makaka. Makaka was ambushed and killed in a hail of bullets in 2017.
Solipansi Skosana was rearrested in connection with Sindiso Makaka's murder last month. In 2018, charges against him were provisionally withdrawn after the state cited that it had insufficient evidence to successfully prosecute him. Today, the state argued that Skosana orchestrated the killing of Makaka in order to silence him from raising questions about the alleged corruption in the refurbishment of the Umzimkhulu Memorial Hall. The state further claimed that Skosana is being evasive when answering questions regarding his relationship with some of the people accused in the plot to murder Makaka. The court also heard that Skosana allegedly used some of the payments received for the refurbishment of the Memorial Hall to pay off his 1.3 million rand property in Durban. The accused denied this. Senior Prosecutor Advocate Lawrence Taba told the magistrate that the accused bail application should not be considered as the state believes he is now the only remaining mastermind in Makaka's murder. A few months ago, the Pietermaritzburg High Court sentenced Sibusiso Ngengwa to life imprisonment after being convicted of killing Makaka. Ngengwa confessed to the crime and implicated Skosana and others. The bail hearing is expected to resume in September for re-examination. The accused remains in custody. Simpiwe Makanya, SABC News, Umzimkhulu.
The case against the 33-year-old accused of murder of Gqeberha prosecutor Tracy Brown has been postponed to September 3rd for further investigation by the Gqeberha Magistrates Court. Brown, who was stationed at the New Brighton Magistrates Court, was gunned down by 4 assailants in her driveway last month. The attack prompted widespread condemnation, with Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubayi calling for a review of the safety measures for state prosecutors. The accused made a brief first appearance in a packed courtroom this morning. He was arrested by the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, the Hawks, in a coordinated roadblock last Thursday on his way to Gqeberha from Johannesburg. The Hawks in the Eastern Cape say the investigation to track down the other suspects is ongoing. Welcome back to this now. The airports company South Africa is targeting full passenger recovery after posting strong financial results for the year-end March 2025. AXA CEO Mpumi Mpofu says while global air traffic fully recovered during the period, South Africa fell short, reaching 92% of pre-COVID levels. Mpofu presented the company's results in Kempton Park, east of Johannesburg, today.
The number of passengers transported by air globally increased 4% above pre-COVID-19 levels. AXA CEO Mpumi Mpofu noted that despite a strong financial performance, passenger numbers in South Africa remained below 2019 levels.
What this also indicates is that we've had, in the period, a 3.3% year-on-year increase in the revenue passenger kilometers. The other indicator is a decline in 80.7% of load factor.
AXA is also preparing its network for the future through a 21.7 billion rand capital investment pipeline over the next 5 years. The majority of the capex spend is set to go to the biggest airports, namely OR Tambo International Airport and Cape Town International Airport.
At OR Tambo International Airport, we have a domestic terminal refurbishment. We call it airside corridor. It is an expansion of that corridor, providing additional seating space, refurbishing the gates, and we also have another one which we call Terminal A refurbishment. The old Johannesburg part of our airport We are looking to refurbish that, modernize it.
AXA's financial performance was supported by increased passenger and aircraft activity, as well as improved credit performance. The company also wants to avoid service disruptions that have previously hurt its reputation. Nosipho Khatebe, SABC News, Kempton Park.
The Chinese ambassador in South Africa, Wu Peng, says Beijing will continue to deepen its bilateral ties with Pretoria. He took part in the seminar in Pretoria that seeks to enhance a global trade cooperation amid rising protectionism. The world is anxiously following the sweeping tariffs imposed by the United States of America.
It's a critical time as the world is looking at ways to respond to global trade shifts and their implications for Africa-China trade cooperation. That's been one of the intense issues at the seminar following the devastating tariffs imposed by the US on a number of countries.
I believe the resilience of South Africa economy. Yes, the tariff dispute actually is not formidable. I mean, the earth will turn on and our life will go on.
South Africa says it's still involved in intensive talks with the United States of America and other key markets.
We are engaging with a number of trading partners because we do believe that with every crisis there's an opportunity. So of course we're continuing our discussions with the US with a view to ensure that we find a trade deal that reduces the current 30% tariff.
Some say the African Continental Free Trade Area should be accelerated and promote intra-Africa trade.
We need to domesticate them, and then we need to make sure we create a much more integrated African market, which is will not only contribute to improving intra-African trade and investment, but will also act as a magnet for external trade and investment.
China and South Africa have reaffirmed their commitment to uphold multilateralism and promote inclusive global trade. Khalihle Khumalo, SABC News, Pretoria.
Your weather details are up next, so keep tuned to see what the weather has in store for us.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. Time for us to look at those conditions over the country. We're going to start looking what's happening for tonight. We do expect an onshore flow over that coast over KwaZulu-Natal. That is because of a high pressure system that will be reaching into KwaZulu-Natal, causing a 30% chance of showers and rain over that coast for tonight. It is going to be a cloudy night over that interior of the Northern Cape, but clear as we move into Gauteng, Mpumalanga and Limpopo. For tomorrow, that onshore flow now still bringing that 30% chance of showers and rain, but only expected over Richards Bay and surrounding areas for tomorrow. It is quite clear over Gauteng, especially over Pretoria, stretching all the way into Polokwane, but those cloudy conditions are still expected over most of the central parts of the country. Now, morning fog patches are expected over KwaZulu-Natal, stretching toward the southern parts of South Africa. Now, do remember, with those morning fog patches, it means that visibility will be reduced in the morning. So please, let's be careful, especially those who will be on the road. Now, looking at our warnings, we're still expecting some runaway fire conditions over most of that interior of the country. Remember, with those fires that have been causing havoc over Hazyview, that is because of those windy conditions. It is August. It means that it's windy and temperatures are increasing. So we need to be careful over those areas. And please, if you do see any sign of smoke, do report to the local authorities. Overnight temperatures, still expecting freezing conditions over Sandland. We're expecting a minimum of -3. 12 over Upington, 11 will be a minimum over Johannesburg, 16 over Musina, Durban and Richards Bay, dropping down to 17. Now looking at maximum temperatures for tomorrow, we start off Sandland. It is freezing for tonight, but tomorrow it will get cool with a high of 22. Cool conditions persisting into the Western Cape with the Mother City and George expecting an average of 18. It is going to be a warm day as we move into Vryburg and Kimberley with a high of 30. 29 over Johannesburg, scorching temperatures, very hot as we move into Musina with a high of 34. Durban expecting a cool day with a high of 21. That's all the weather I have for you. Stay tuned.
We park it here for tonight. Much gratitude for joining us for now. Good night. God bless. Ula.